to Amazon Prime now, and we are going to talk about The Devil's Hour, which, Holly, you have seen. A show that I saw 20 minutes of, stopped watching, and haven't gone back to yet since. Tell us about The Devil's Hour.
Devil's Hour is a 6-part series that is frequently described as a drama thriller. I'm not entirely sure that's the right description, but let's work with it. The premise is that you have a main character, Lucy, who is played by Jessica Raine, whom I always think I recognise more than I do. I think I've seen her in loads of things and then I haven't. I think she looks like somebody I know.
She looks like she was in Downton.
Yeah,
she was in Call the Midwife.
Okay,
first
cool.
2 series.
Not that far off then.
So she is a social worker, and obviously it's a stressful, difficult job, and her home life is stressful and difficult. She has an 8-year-old son who shows no emotion and seems to experience no emotion and no physical feeling. He doesn't feel pain. And she has a mother who has clearly worsening dementia and also has schizophrenia. So she has a lot to deal with in her personal and professional life. And she is not with her son's father, though it becomes apparent that that's a little bit more complicated than it might be, as it's clearly a complicated family dynamic. And every night she wakes up between 3 and 4, which is referred to as the Devil's Hour, and she wakes up every single night at 3:33. And this has happened her entire life. She's finds herself, and it's a film that sort of happens at two sort of different-ish time periods.
Sharon, you love that, don't you?
It does work. It wouldn't work in a linear fashion. Probably wouldn't work in a linear fashion. So she experiences, in general terms, sort of it feels slightly dissociative at times. She has these moments where things just don't seem quite right, but they're not properly wrong. At one point she's looking at a vase of flowers and thinks she's looking at a vase of paper roses, and then you realize a couple of minutes later that they're regular roses. So she has these sort of, not fugue moments, but moments where things don't seem quite right, and she finds herself linked to a string of murders, and one gets the impression early on that these have been committed by a character called Gideon Shepherd, who's played by Peter Capaldi, and she finds herself or you find her in an interview room with him, and the overall premise is the attempt to unpick these mysterious and both connected and unconnected murders, and how it all links in with her home life, her son, what it all means.
Okay.
It's a good cast. I recognised more people than I could name, and I have established that Stephen Moffat was an executive producer of it. And knowing that now, I get more of a feel for that.
What this show is, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Why it's Peter Capaldi, who I have to say is very good in it. I have also discovered this evening that it has been renewed for a second and a third season.
So okay, without trying to give too much away, do you think that each season will be a different story, or would it be a continuation of the same thing from the season 1?
I have a feeling it would be a bit of both, and I feel like that would be a disappointment personally.
All right.
I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it had a good ending to it. Now, without knowing what they could do with series 2 and 3, what I fear they would do with it, I think would be disappointing to follow up. It's a good watch. I know what you mean about getting a little way in and then going, no, I have to do something else now. But I'm glad I persevered. And I was able to sort of binge it in 2 or 3 sessions, which was worth doing. And it helps, I think, because it's quite complicated. It helps watching it in slightly larger than one episode chunks, because otherwise you may forget some of the previous details. You'll still forget some of the previous details, obviously.
Okay.
So I'd give it a 4.
4 stars, okay.
I would recommend others watched it, but as I said, I'm a little bit sad that they've decided to do additional series. Sometimes I think it's a good point to do something well and then
walk away.
Yeah. I feel a bit like that with Bad Sisters. So remember I reviewed Bad Sisters, maybe I don't think it was last week but the week before.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a lovely self-contained story, and then the news came out that they've renewed it for a second season. And I'm like, how? What are you going to do? I mean, unless they do something totally left field, like the show changes genre from a murder mystery to a family drama or something like that. Maybe that could work, but I don't see how you continue. And I feel like it's a little bit like, okay, so Holly, I finished watching Only Murders in the Building season 2, and I liked it. It was fun and everything like that. But that's the kind of show that I'm going, you can't keep it going, because they've renewed it for seasons 3 and seasons 4. And I'm
2 more.
2 more. Yeah, there's 2, and I'm thinking, no, it's going to be a bit like, Murder, She Wrote. After a while, you're going to be like, I think Jessica Fletcher might be causing these murders. I mean, it's like, and it's going to be a bit like that. But anyway, so 4 stars for The Devil's Hour, and now we